So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Pretty tired, people. I was doing walnuts until 2 o'clock, 2:30 this morning. When they really start falling from the tree, I'm doing walnuts 4 or 5 in the morning, as I'm doing this stuff during the day. But I figure with the walnuts, this is the last year with the walnuts, right? So I am going to make sure that I do that, because Andre and I are still working on our project, right? Whether it's writing the book, or we're going to be doing art, or we're going to end up setting up a little online shop at some point in the future. But in the meantime, I have to deal with about 5,000 nuts dropping from the tree, and then try and pass a few of those nuts to a few individuals that can hopefully plant them, as I'm growing my own forest out in my own backyard, right? So I just want to say, what doesn't make it in terms of what doesn't make it into a jar. That's a nice one. Well, it's just a little bruise on it, right? You cut it off. But what doesn't make it into a jar, when they start getting like this, I'm either going to take out the seeds and try and grow a few more trees, and then the rest goes all into the compost, which is great for the compost, right? And then what happens is I get vegetables like this, right? You can see. So I'm okay with it. I'm going to just can these to start anyway. There's not, the tree is half of what it used to be, so I don't know how many apples are going to be falling. I don't know how busy I'm going to be with apples. I may make a few jars of apple juice and then make the apple butter after the fact, or I may just end up, because there's, I have to pick around it, right? Because when they fall, they get bruised, right? Depends. Really depends, people. And then the apples that will be in the smaller jars will be easy to put on pancakes. That's what somebody recommended for me, was to put them on pancakes. So hold on, we'll be back. Okay, people. So now I think it's July 30th. Anyway, canning beets. You can see that. Right? These ones are fairly big, so I'm going to end up slicing them. I do have some little ones, so that's after. And I've already did one batch, so I'm going to be, again, giving some to my son, right? Hold on. Doesn't that look familiar? Right. This is my last year with these trees, people. Everybody's getting ready to cut them down. You'll be digging up my alley. Hold on. Okay, so this is where we're at. Remember, I had a problem with my rack? But anyway, I took the bottom rack of my pressure canner and I put it on the bottom. And as you can see, instead of getting 7 jars, I actually get 8 in here, which is kind of nice. And then, right now, I don't need to prevent them from really clanging. But when it comes time to actually canning them, like with the hot water bath, you just take a cloth or some paper towel and just run them in between your jars. And this way, when the water is boiling, they don't clang together, right? That's what my mother used to do. And then here, we've got the beets starting. I'm not putting it on a high boil, people. I'm going to put it on a medium to high. Just enough to have them moving around a little bit. And you don't want to boil them through. Preferably, you want smaller ones, but like I said, I already have a few small ones downstairs. That will be the last batch of beets, because I've already done one batch, so that'll be 3 batches of beets that I would have done. And then I've got pickles, and then as you can see, I got zucchini coming in from my yard, and I already gave one to my neighbor as a welcome to the neighborhood gift, because they just moved into the house next door. A couple with no kids. Hold on. Okay, people, so basically, I know it's dark. Whatever. After, what can you see? I can't see nothing. Hold on, I hear somebody. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't know what you can see here. To me, it looks very dark. After you semi-cook them, still pretty firm, people. You just take a knife and you just take off the first layer of skin. That's what you do. Hold on. Okay, so here is more of a traditional brine for the beets, right? This is cinnamon sticks, right? And these are whole allspice, right? Tablespoon of that. It said 2 cinnamon sticks, so I don't have the sticks, but I have bits of the sticks. 1.5 tablespoon of, 1.5 teaspoon of salt. This is Himalayan salt, which is good for canning, by the way. 2 cups of sugar. And then we're going to do 1.5 cups of boiled water to take out, I've boiled this water, right? 15 minutes to take out the chlorine. Okay, that's what I use for pickles and that type of thing. And then 3.5 cups of vinegar. And then I'm going to heat this all up, cook it for a bit, right? Take out these, or maybe I'll just put them in the jar too. Anyway, I'll be back. Hold on. Okay, so here we're at. I used one of those slicing machines, right? I didn't really like it, so anyway, I'm just going to make one jar like that. And then, as you can see, I cut everything, and then I start putting into jars. So, hold on a minute. Okay, so here they are. Now, how I'm changing this, people, is I am going to pasteurize these for 30 minutes at 190 degrees in terms of Fahrenheit with your candy thermometer, right? Which is not a full boil, but it's okay because that's how you do juice, people. And if you notice the rim here, it's a 1/4 inch off the rim, right? About 1/2 inch to about 1/4 inch off the rim. If you do it at 190 for 10 to 30 minutes, whatever it is, it only takes 1 minute to pasteurize food. But if you leave it in there for 30 minutes, what it does is it seals the jar without cooking the food. So when you're making pickles, versus having the pickles in a water bath with boiling water for 15 to 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what you're doing, you can bring it down to 190, keep it at 190, and once it starts at 190, then you can measure in terms of time for the allotted time in terms of 15 minutes for maybe, a pint, this, or a half pint. This is a pint. So it says 30 minutes in a water bath, but I'm not going to do that because these beets are not fully cooked, and I don't like my beets soggy. So one way to prevent that is to pasteurize it at 190, and I'll do it for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes or so, and that will be enough to seal the jar. And because you've got the vinegar, the sugar, and everything else, the salt, well, not very much salt, but the vinegar for sure, you're gonna, you're sealing in vinegars, people, so there is no bacteria in it. It's just a question of sealing the jar correctly and not overcooking the food. That's all I'm trying to say. Hold on. And also, too, not having this liquid overflow as if it was in a water bath that was boiling. Okay, well, anyway, as I was saying, just a candy thermometer, and then this is the type of cloth that you want to use. It's an old granny cloth, but because we're not having the water boil, right, you're not going to need that, right, because the jars aren't going to be clanging together. So hold on a minute. Okay, anyway. See, I don't know if I could use Marcane's video camera, or it's actually a camera to take pictures. It's big and bulky for one thing, but besides that point, so there you go. And then you put it in there, if you haven't seen my other videos, and you bring it up to one. Oh, that scared me. So, balancing act here. So as soon as it comes up to 190, you can see, right, then you start lowering the temperature a little bit because it's almost on max. Otherwise it's going to go into a boil, and then you get it to where it just stays at 190. Technically 185. I choose 190, right? I've read where it's been 185 for pasteurizing or canning pickles anyway, in terms of, sealing the jar without cooking the actual cucumber, or in this case, the beet. Do you see how close we're getting? So as soon as it gets up to 190, which is like any second now, people, I'm going to start taking a fork, whipping this around. I'm going to start taking a fork, and I'm just going to start knocking that down until we stay at 190. Where am I? Can't see nothing. That's how blind I am. There we go. Okay, so now we're at 190 now, right? Hold on. Okay, so there they are. Now, as they cool, they're going to pop and seal. That's what's going to happen here, people. And no liquid leaked out from a 1/4 inch, ½ inch, almost about a ½ inch. It's between a ½ inch and a 1/4 inch of liquid up to the rim, right? Because you want to try and cover your pickle or your beets or whatever it is as much as you can with the liquid. And of course, when you're canning, things tend to float to the top, right? So, and now I'm going to get into the old zucchini recipe, and I'm going to do one anyway. Hold on. Okay, people, I am so mad right now. I don't even know what day it is. Anyway, it's after I've done those other beets. My son, my middle son, told me that I am wasting my time. He's all choked because I wouldn't give him a can of canned chicken. I paid $30 for 2 chickens. I got 5 cans in a jar of chicken. 1 didn't seal, which went for cats or whatever. So that left me 4, and I had a whole bunch of other shit in there. I offered him a can, like take a jar. He went right for the chicken. I said, no, not for the chicken. And he's been holding a grudge ever since. Anyway, he told me I'm wasting my time. We got into a great big argument about me using part of his fridge downstairs that I use every year, with the plums coming in, with the pears coming in, with the freaking apples are coming in, right? Because then I can't can everything in one fucking day. Ooh. So yeah, I'm like choked. He tells me I'm wasting my time. And that I'm being, because I told him, like, you fucking, it's not like you don't know I use fridge, right? But I have to go buy myself a secondhand fridge so that he can tell me I'm wasting my time. Okay, so anyway, I'm not mad anymore. My son, all he did was just throw a few cucumbers around on my porch. He didn't take everything out of the fridge downstairs. It's just the weather is hot. Oh, look at that camera. Okay, so anyway, moving along. Today is what? July 31st, 2018. As you can see, the apples from the tree up by the walnuts is dropping its apples. Even though they cut down half the tree, kind of something like they did with the pear tree out here, it's still dropping apples. So Andre's been wanting to get apples. This is what I was arguing with my son about in terms of when the food starts coming in, right? These are from my garden. These are from my garden. Right? Obviously, the plums are coming, the grapes are coming, the pears are coming. I tried to explain that to him, and it's not like I haven't put buckets or bowls in the fridge downstairs to keep these things cool, because oftentimes they'll come in multiples. So all of a sudden, you know, the cucumbers come into harvest, because I got a lot of cucumber plants for pickles and stuff like that, right? Not to mention these ones. And then, you know, the plums come, and then the pears come, and I can't can everything in 2 fucking days. So I told him, like, you know, be prepared, right? You know, every year I go through this, right? Oh, well, you're just wasting your time. You need to do something more productive. There's nothing, we're just wasting your time. I'm wasting my time because I wouldn't give him 1 fucking jar of chicken. If you notice the date, it says 2018. I told him, when I get into my food storage and I get into old jars of chicken and beef and all that, I'd give him some of those as I take the new ones and put them in there, you know, recycle, replace, right? Anyway, it was hot yesterday, so we were just crabbing on. So whatever. I might have to get a second fridge, put it in a garage or something. So, besides that point, there's those little beets. I only got 4 jars, but that's okay, because I got, what, 7 over there, 6 or 7 over there, with just what I just did, like, on this video, and then I did another batch before this video. So I've got more than enough beets now, right? Obviously, walnuts are dropping. You can see that. You can see I've been doing them, right? Still have to get that ready for zucchini relish. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you that every day Andre and I are getting apples. So starting tonight, I am going to can some apples in either this size jar, which is a pint, or a half pint like I did with the pineapple for single meals or whatever. One thing my son told me, he said, you know, all my friends, they say, you know, out of everybody they know, Marcane tends to cook the most. All his friends, they know they eat in pizza pockets and that type of stuff, right? Where Marcane will actually go out of his way and cook a meal. So, you know, despite everything, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And then when it comes time to, you know, take some of this downstairs, I'll make sure he has a few jars of, you know, these apples and whatnot. And, pineapple and some beets and obviously the older chicken and beef as I find it when I go to replace, you know, and then if he wants he can have it. If he doesn't want, you know, he doesn't have to have it. Doesn't matter. Hold on a minute. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Pretty tired, people. I was doing walnuts until 2 o'clock, 2:30 this morning. When they really start falling from the tree, I'm doing walnuts 4 or 5 in the morning, as I'm doing this stuff during the day. But I figure with the walnuts, this is the last year with the walnuts, right? So I am going to make sure that I do that because Andre and I are still working on our project, right? Whether it's writing the book, or we're going to be doing art, or we're going to end up setting up a little online shop at some point in the future. But in the meantime, I have to deal with about 5,000 nuts dropping from the tree, and then try and pass a few of those nuts to a few individuals that can hopefully plant them, as I'm growing my own forest out in my own backyard, right? So I just want to say, what doesn't make it in terms of what doesn't make it into a jar. That's a nice one. Well, just a little bruise on it, right? You cut it off. But what doesn't make it into a jar, you know, when they start getting like this, I'm either going to take out the seeds and try and grow a few more trees, and then the rest goes all into the compost, which is great for the compost, right? And then what happens is I get vegetables like this, right? You can see. So I'm okay with it. I'm going to just can these to start anyway. There's not, you know, the tree is half of what it used to be, so I don't know how many apples are going to be falling. I don't know how busy I'm going to be with apples. I may make a few jars of apple juice and then make the apple butter after the fact, or I may just end up, because there's, you know, I have to pick around it, right? Because when they fall, they get bruised, right? Depends. Really depends, people. And then the apples that will be in the smaller jars will be easy to put on pancakes. That's what somebody recommended for me, was to put them on pancakes. So hold on, we'll be back.